Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update. Michael Krizo wins the IFBB Prague Pro as predicted. 3 weeks ago, he earned his IFBB Pro card with really no competition. But the question 3 weeks ago was, can Krizo bring the conditioning he needed? He said he was holding back, waiting till Prague 3 weeks later to peak. Seems like he delivered on his promise. He brought in a look that was not only massive, he also had the conditioning, glutes, hamstrings, abs, good V taper, great front double bicep, man, knockout punch right there. I mean, if you ever saw arms like that, and chest and delts, flaring quads, I mean, that's a knockout punch. And Krizo needed that knockout punch because I got news for you. Jan Turek, who plays second, we're going to talk about in a minute, was damn good. So Krizo did not have a walk in the park here. He had to bring conditioning. He had to bring his best here if he wanted to win this show and qualify for the Mr. Olympia competition, which has been the goal all along. Krizo is not an amateur by any means. He's been competing for many years. He wasn't in the IFBB Pro League. He wanted to switch over. He wanted to get that pro card in this division, in this league, so that he can compete for the Mr. Olympia title. Only way to do that was to qualify as an IFBB Pro, which he did 3 weeks ago, winning the amateur event, and then showed up here in Prague in spectacular fashion and basically just dominated this competition. I mean, he just takes up more space on stage than anyone else. He's wide. He has a taper. He has great legs. He's got calves. He's really not missing anything. I mean, his back double is a knockout punch as well. I mean, he's got a huge back and a lot of muscle separation in the muscle groups there. His conditioning was great. He was dry. His tan was good. He looked like a professional up there. I mean, he looked like a Mr. Olympia competitor. I got news for you. He's going to give these guys at the Mr. Olympia in December a run for their money. I don't know how he's going to place, obviously, until he stands up there on the stage next to these guys. But he certainly has mass. He won this show because he is just massive, and he's got conditioning. And that, my friends, will decimate most competitions. I mean, the only guys who beat that are guys who have insane muscle separation, shape, structure. That's the only guys that are going to beat him. And there are plenty of those guys out there in that top echelon of the Mr. Olympia competition. But you put him next to some guys, he's going to make a lot of guys look small. And he's going to outcondition a lot of guys on the Olympia stage. And that's what we want to see. We want to see a big freak up there. We love our freaks in bodybuilding. And this is a freak with shape. And that's dangerous. Now, Jan Turek, I got to give this guy props. He looked spectacular. He's got probably the best abs on stage. He's got a great tan. His presentation is good. He knows how to show his body off to show its strengths and hide its weaknesses. He could not have looked any better as far as I'm concerned in this lineup. I think he did his homework. If Krizo wasn't here, he'd be going to the Olympia. I think he shouldn't stop. He should try to hit another show before the end of the year, even if it qualifies him for next year, and then take the whole year off and grow. He needs a little bit more size, but at the end of the day, I mean, just a beautiful structure. Let's face it. I mean, Krizo is just massive. I mean, I don't think, Turek, could beat him because of Krizo's size. The only way he would have won the show is if Krizo showed up out of shape. But once again, I like guys that come in polished with awesome separation and conditioning because it shows that they broke their hiney, so to speak, to get in the best shape of their life. And you know what? That should be rewarded. Turek's conditioning was better than Bella Kokani, who was in third place, who seemed to be a crowd favorite. And Kokani is another mass freak. He's a little shorter, but he's got a lot of freaky, hard, shredded mass. And that's what the fans love. And that's why they love Krizo, because Krizo's huge. We like, as fans, to see the biggest, freakiest guy up there. And Kokani in third, look great. Congratulations on placing third. I didn't really know who you were at the time until this show. So you delivered, and people are aware of who you are now. Milan Shadik finishes in that fourth position. But the name of the day is Michael Krizo. He did everything he had to do to win this show. Now it's on to the Olympia. Can he be better here? I'd love to wait and see. I'm excited. I think he brought his best here, but, maybe he's got another level of conditioning that he can bring that's even more shrink wrap. He's got to be careful, though, that he doesn't, diet too hard and then lose some of that fullness. I thought this was a really good blend of fullness and conditioning. Maybe he can dial it in another couple of pounds tighter, which is, I'm sure, what the game plan is here. But big win shows, so don't come in too small to get a little bit, more conditioned or dry out a little bit more. I don't think you need it, Mike. Good victory here. Finishing first in the 212 division is our good friend, the Iceman, Peter Molnar. Man, he won a classic physique contest earlier in the year, qualified for the Olympia. And he decided, that he was going to do classic, stick with that. But he couldn't make the weight class. And obviously our Chris Aceto, our very own, is his coach. And they just decided, hey, let's do 212. And it was a good decision because Molnar delivered, man. Bigger, just as hard. I think this is a much better look for Molnar. I like him better, bigger. He's got a big frame. He can hold a lot of muscle on that frame. And I just think I'd like to even see him move up to the open at some point if he can add the necessary size to do it. Obviously, that would take, another year or so training to get that size back. But I think he can do it. He was a lot bigger, when he was competing in whatever organization he was competing in, back in the day. But, I think 212 is going to be very, very dangerous, okay, for some of these guys to be stepping on stage with Molnar because I think he easily makes the weight. I believe he does. I have to talk to Chris about it. We'll talk about that on the show on Heavy Muscle Radio. But Molnar is going to challenge Sean Clarita because he's a lot bigger. He's going to challenge, our good friend Kamala Gargny, and it's going to make the 212 that much more exciting. I really believe it. So Keon Pearson, obviously in that lineup as well. So I think that we're going to see a really good 212 Olympia. I'm so happy that Molnar was able to, qualify in the 212 division here. And I think that's going to make that Olympia division that much, more interesting as well. So congratulations to Peter Molnar. Congratulations to Michael Krizo. Full wrap-up of the entire IFBB Prague Pro on Heavy Muscle Radio live. That's on tomorrow night, Sunday night, 10:30 Eastern Standard with Chris, the technician, Aceto. For now, I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle News Update.